Go!
3, 2, 1, Ghost. Welcome back, everyone, to 3, 2, 1, Ghost. I'm your host, the Wicked Witch of the West Coast, Natalie.
Yeah! What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
And with me is that very loud friend of mine, Kyle.
Hey,
How's
what's
it
up?
going?
Hey, your other host with a silent G. That's how you can tell the difference. It's going okay. How are you?
Oh, so good. We've made it. We've made it to the end of the year.
Can you believe it?
I can. I feel like 2023, maybe I'm getting ahead, has not been our best year for horror. But we've taken the time to highlight the good parts. So I'm excited for that.
I love just coming in cold, just being like, we're just gonna be upfront with you. It's been a disappointing year. But we're gonna get through it, and we're gonna talk about things that we like. There's a lot of highlights this year. So we'll definitely focus on that.
Yeah.
But gosh, I was thinking, I initially, just knowing that we were going to be doing this episode, I was just thinking about, okay, no, there's a bunch of great horror movies, like fucking, Barbarian, and you had both X and Pearl, and this and this and this. And then I was just like, oh fuck. Every time I just kept thinking of 2022 movies. And when I started looking through a list of just everything that had been released in the last year, I think it's certainly enough to talk about. Definitely.
Oh, for sure.
But
I did the same thing. I thought of like a long list of movies. And then when I actually was looking at the release dates, I was like, oh shit, that was 2022. Because 2022 was on and popping. Like there were so many horror movies and so many good ones. So we started in an interesting year. But
yeah.
I think the fun thing about this is that I got some listener feedback from the infamous Cousin Vinny. Cousin Vinny really likes to hear people talk negatively about movies. He doesn't like for it to be a gush fest all the time. So this is his episode, because we are going to shit on some movies, which we usually do a lot more praise and talk about movies that we love, but we're also going to talk about movies that we didn't love.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be, I think, look, are we gonna talk shit? No, of course not. We're here to lend just a thoughtful. Okay, all right, then never mind.
Yeah, I am. I've got some shit to talk, but of course, in true bonus episode fashion, I do have rules for each part of this, and Kyle will be following all of the rules. He's been given the rules ahead of time, but I will go over them as we go through each section for all of you who are listening. But before we jump into that, I do want to give space for some video game talk, because we tend to bring that up a lot, over the episodes. I unfortunately have not played any this year. So this is all you, Kyle. And I know you let me borrow The Quarry, but I have not cracked it open yet.
Also not 2023, but it is a
Shit,
banger though.
You're right.
Yeah. I want to say that's last year, maybe even the year before. But yeah, this year's been pretty popping though for horror video games. I mean, you start off pretty hot with, okay, look, I get it, a lot of remakes. It's been happening a lot in video games, but dang, the good ones are just, they're just so real, so fucking good. You've got Dead Space, which is probably, gosh, one of my favorite third-person horror games. Have you played the original?
I played the original, but I haven't played the remake. I found that game very scary and hard. Yeah. Like I thought the gameplay was actually pretty difficult.
It's tough. It's tougher than I remember, but yeah, fuck, that started off real hot in January. And then you've got the Resident Evil 4 remake. That shit, chef's kiss. Because I mean, the original Resident Evil 4, right? Fucking true ass fucking classic.
A perfect game. I love that game. That's another one I need to play the remake of too.
It's so much fun. And then you've got like some smaller titles. You got New Amnesia. I don't know if you ever played the Amnesia games. Those are fucking great.
No.
Sons of the Forest. That's a sequel. It's about a bunch of cannibals. It's pretty
Perfect.
fun. Just survive.
Don't get eaten. Sounds super fun.
But dang, I feel like I brought it up before.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fucking head above shoulders. Horror video game of the year. Alan Wake 2. I will talk about that shit till the end of fucking time. It actually stars on who is in a movie that I have in another category that comes out, or that I'm gonna watch. So I don't know. You just fucking dial me up, and I will talk up that fucking game all up and up and down. If you love Twilight Zone, if you love Twin Peaks, if you love first season of True Detective, if you just like this real just fucked up shit, weird shit. Also with a fucking killer metal soundtrack. I'm gonna say
fun.
The soundtrack to that game is also my album of the year. Fuck, I might even say it almost qualifies as my movie of the year. That shit's so fucking good. It is a cinematic treasure.
The first Alan Wake, I haven't played the second one yet, but the first one, like that's one of the best storylines for a video game that I've ever encountered. I feel like it would make a really fun movie, but as we've talked about before, every time we watch, a video game adapted into a film, it doesn't always land because either it's too similar or we've decided to just go off the rails like Resident Evil. So I wonder if anyone would ever make a film about Alan Wake.
It'd be dope. I'd watch it. Though, it's just the video game format. It's so beautiful. I love it. And so also I argue that horror video games are scarier than horror movies, right? Because you're actually you are like a part of the action, So, and then also, things that are horror adjacent, like, we always celebrate a new Mortal Kombat coming out. That's on my Christmas list, though. So fingers crossed. I'll report back and let you know.
You didn't play? Okay, I played Mortal Kombat, and I would not consider it horror, but the gore in that game is always so fun. It's so over the top and so, I mean, I don't want to say unnecessary because I love it, but I would highly recommend the new Mortal Kombat 1.
Love it. Yeah, so that's all I got. I was just like, I just didn't think I could get through the year without shoehorning Alan Wake 2 in some fashion. So
oh yeah, we had to make sure it came up. So okay, going from a category that we bring up kind of often, considering this is a podcast about movies, now to a category we don't talk about often, books. Did you read any, we'll say, spooky books? It can't be just any book.
Oh, geez. Don't look. You're putting me on the spot here. Look.
That's a no.
I've been afforded a lot of extra time in my life in the recent months, and I'm working to transition to a more self-care oriented situation. And I read a lot of sports articles. Does that count?
No, it does not. Although that does sound scary to me.
I can tell you the saga of the Shohei Ohtani offseason. I'm sure I've read tens of thousands of words on that. So I'm gonna say that counts.
Okay. I think I brought this up. I don't remember which episode. Oh, in our Candyman episode that I had acquired Clive Barker's Hellbound Heart. I'm going to admit, everyone, the exact same page that I referenced in that episode is where we're at now. I have not continued the book. I want to say that like I'm going to read more in 2024, but that's a fucking lie. Like straight up, like it's not going to happen. We're not readers for the most part. Like I read other things too, but I don't typically read fiction. So I guess that's our book category. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Also, we've been adjusting to doing this podcast. So the amount of movies that we've watched for this and like packing in movies that we just want to watch for fun, I think that's been the strangest balance for me is like when I'm watching for enjoyment, when I'm watching, for this, which is still enjoying, but in a different way.
I am comfortable agreeing that the time that we spend on this podcast, we probably would have spent reading. So there we
That's
go.
not
We can
true.
move on. Good year for books. What's next?
Okay. Something that we actually do is watch TV. So we're going to start with television because I think it's a quicker category, or at least it is for me. I definitely watch more movies than television. So the rules for us sharing our favorite TV series, I only had us pick 2. And to be honest, that's because I only had 2. But Kyle, if you have any honorable mentions, you can definitely throw them in there. So we're each going to pick 2 television shows. And because we enjoyed these shows and we want to encourage others to watch them, we are not going to spoil them. So that's the rules for the TV series. No spoilers. And yeah, I'll let you start, Kyle.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna start off the top by saying how much I love What We Do in the Shadows. It is such a fun TV show. It elevates, I'll be honest, like, so the movie is great, but the show really, I think, takes a life of its own. And I mean, I just really think just elevates it in almost every single way.
How long has it been running? It's been a while now, right?
Yeah, it's about 5 years now. And they also just announced that the next year is going to be the last one. So y'all, I think 6 seasons of a comedy is a very digestible situation. Yeah. And I just, I am not at all a stranger in this camp, or alone in this camp rather, but Matt Berry's line deliveries on that show, it's the greatest thing. It's like poetry. It's so good. He's incredible. The whole cast is awesome. Harvey Guillen's really good. He's also in that one werewolf comedy with Sam Richardson and then a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, just fuck yeah. And the cameos are always I'd say 9 out of 10 always really fun. So
they do a lot of cameos?
Yeah, but I can't spoil it.
No, don't spoil it. I would say that show's on FX, right?
Yes.
Okay. I still have not watched it, and I know you've told me a million times to watch it. I will get to it. I promise I will.
All right, so what do you got?
Okay. I think my first one is going to be pretty obvious for both of us. I of course chose the Chucky television series. I will say this 3rd season was, it's only half a season. But it was not as much of a high as the 1st season and 2nd season, but I still highly recommend it for anyone who loves the Child's Play movies or Chucky, and especially the later installments that get a little bit more like wonky and silly. I think that it's definitely a show for you. And I know a couple people listening watch it, but I would highly recommend it. And anytime I can bring up Devon Sawa, I'm gonna do it. And he's so great. He's so great in it.
That show
it's so over the top.
Yeah, it's really fun. Gosh, for a horror series or any series, like, to maintain continuity through however many movies and seasons of a TV show over the span of 35 fucking years, right? It was in 88, the first one.
Yeah.
It is still waiting for Chris Sarandon to make a comeback.
Oh, we need
or Catherine Hicks, both, really. Come on. Let's make it happen. But it's just so I could watch that fucking doll do anything. I love it. I love I don't get, and I know there was that remake that came out a few years back, and gosh, if you're gonna replace Red Dwarf with anybody, hey, Mark Hamill, fucking try. That was a way to like get the fucking internet nerds to back down a little bit. But not a lot of stuff is sacred to me, not a lot of, I'm just like, oh, you know, fucking anyone who's fucking I don't care who the fuck Batman is, or I don't care
Yeah.
fucking this and this and this and that. I don't, if someone's rebooting or remaking something, I don't care. But man, I really love just Brad Dourif as Chucky, and the 35 years that he has played him just to a fucking T, just perfectly. I really, and then just with ever since Jennifer Tilly, who's now been a part of it for 25 years now,
Yeah. Yeah.
is I love all
She
of
just
them.
gets
I can
better.
just, yeah, and I don't care how dumb the plot lines get, and
Yeah.
they haven't yet, but like, gosh, it's, yeah, no, I hear you. I just didn't want to, I didn't put that because I knew, well, actually it's on a couple of my, I knew you'd bring it up, and I just wanted to share. It's so good. So I feel like I kind of co-opted that one with you. So
Yeah, I also
apologies.
feel like Chucky hasn't really come up a lot in conversation through the episodes that we've done so far. And I like, he's kind of popped up a little bit on the Instagram, but I want to make it very clear that we absolutely love that franchise and we will get to it. Just not at our own pace. But yeah, we love Chucky, and I would love to see him pop back up on the big screen, honestly. I would love to see a movie in a theater. Like the last one we saw was Seed of Chucky, and
That
that
was the
was
last one.
20 years ago,
Yeah,
a little
Jesus. Yeah,
less.
2000, yeah, 2004. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been long enough. I don't know if it will happen, but either way, Don Mancini, just keep doing it. Brad Dourif has been Chucky almost as long as we've been alive. So that's wild.
Yeah.
Um okay. What's your second pick?
Okay. I am going to, let's see. So I've got a fun honorable mention, and then I'm going to bring up my fun honorable mention first.
Oh, okay.
And
Just already ruining the order, everyone. We're literally on the first part. It's fine.
I know I'll be fine. I'm so sorry. You said I would follow the rules. I never said out loud I would follow these rules.
That's actually
Um,
true.
yeah, so just because it comes on every single year, y'all, I just always got to shout out Halloween Wars. If you haven't seen it, I I have
I don't
the
even know what that is.
I have such an insatiable appetite for Family Feud, as well as Halloween themed cooking shows, and especially cooking competitions if there is one. And
Mm.
Halloween Wars, it's been going on for fucking ever now, but you've got your sugar artist, you've got your, I can't believe I'm talking about this, you got your baker, and then you've got your pumpkin carver, right, who does some serious shit with pumpkins.
That
And then
sounds
you just
fun.
got to make spooky, things with scary accoutrements, and fucking, it's all over the place. It's so good. My
You've told
celebrity,
me about this before.
I'm sure I have. My celebrity girlfriend Shinmin Lee, is the cake expert and judge, one of the judge. Shout out to Artie too. But it's it's so good. I love it. I could watch that shit on repeat constantly. So that's my honorable mention. So just one.
Where can you find Halloween Wars?
Now it's on Max, which is awesome. It used to be a
Oh,
separate
okay.
like Discover, like Food Network streaming situation, but I could watch that shit forever. There is a Christmas one that I'm trying out right now that's been going on just as long, but I never watched because I just don't really care about Christmas. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'll
so
give that a shot then. Okay. I'm logged into a good friend of ours, Max account. So I'll definitely check that out. I forgot to mention Chucky is on the Sci-Fi network, but can also be found on Peacock.
Peacock, yeah, usually.
Yeah.
And then I think my official second, sorry, I guess I sneak these in.
It's okay.
My official second is, I think, an easy one. Fall of the House of Usher, on Netflix. I thought that was really fun. I like most everything Mike Flanagan's done. With same kind of cast. This one's based on a number of Edgar Allan Poe stories, kind of with a through line, about, not even going to say what, but
Yeah, don't
each
spoil it. I haven't seen it either.
each episode focuses on one of the Usher children. Most of them do, at least. And each of their stories kind of follows some a little more generous or liberal with their interpretations of Edgar Allan Poe stories. But it's really fun. I think it might be the last thing he was doing with Netflix. I know he had the what's it Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I always forget the name of the one that kicks so much ass about the fucking vampires on
Oh,
that
the
island.
island.
Yeah, that's really good. And then
Now
there's some
I'm
others,
forgetting it.
but you just had like just a fucking really good cast, a lot of like the returning characters, Carla Gugino is really strong in that. And then you also have like fucking newcomers to those shows, like Mark Hamill, who is,
That's
look,
fun.
hey, just like I said earlier,
Again.
everyone's just gonna smile a little bit when you see Mark Hamill or hear Mark
Yeah.
Hamill. So look, he's great. And then also Mary McDonnell, who
Mm.
I I like a lot of men my age, like really really was into Battlestar Galactica, that remake when it came out in the early 2000s. And Rosalind's my president, so it's always great to see her. And then just her whole vibe is really fun in that show. So I just think it's and again, you can just stream that shit easy, but it's fun.
Yeah, because that's on Netflix. I have not watched that yet either. I have watched all the other ones for Mike Flanagan. I do like him as well. He's actually a really good example because I know I talk a lot of shit on like dramatic horror. He balances it really well for me. Like I feel like he hits emotional beats that make me like literally have made me cry. Oh my gosh, especially Bly Manor. Wow. Wow. The end of that had me like sobbing. And I'm a crier. That's why I like horror, because it to me is not like as emotional, but yeah, I think he really balances scary with emotional really well and makes you attach to characters so quickly and intensely. Like I really think he does a good job of that.
Yeah, I agree.
And I can't think of the one with the island either. Why am I forgetting what that one is called? We'll have to look into it. Okay, my second pick, which I'm assuming you didn't put because you guessed that I would.
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. Yes, that's what it was. I loved Midnight Mass too. That made me cry as well. I think they all have, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they're intense. Okay, my second pick is Shining Vale,
Love it.
which it's such a fun show, but also super sad that they just announced like 2 days ago that it's canceled. So it got 2 seasons, no ending. It ended pretty open-ended, which is kind of disappointing. But obviously, we love Courtney Cox. Love, love, love her. She's so great. And Greg Kinnear, someone needs to give Greg Kinnear an award for his performance in that show. I think he is so fucking hilarious and adorable and fun as Terry. Like Terry Phelps is one of the best characters I think ever written. If you've not seen Shining Vale, you probably have a pretty short window to watch it because they're also taking it off streaming. It was on AMC Plus. But yeah, it's pretty much a story of a family moving into a home that may or may not be haunted. Maybe it's haunted. Maybe she's kind of, seeing things, having hallucinations. You don't really know. But it's haunted.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Courtney Cox and Greg Kinnear, I mean, you got some fucking heavy hitters, right? You got Mira
Mm-hmm.
Sorvino, you got
Oh God, I
Judith
love her.
Light, you've got
Mm-hmm.
Sherilyn Fenn. You've got some fucking winners.
Yeah.
Sorry everybody. As of this recording, and I'm assuming that you're, like most people are listening to this the moment it comes out. Y'all have 2 days, by the way.
Oh no. From the 29th.
Yeah.
That's shitty.
Which is today.
So yes,
In
it's of course
podcast time.
today. Wow. Okay, so then they're just starting the new year without it. That is so, I'm sorry. I'm
Fucked up.
infuriated about this. Like, I can't stress enough how much I was, even 3 seasons, like, would have been probably enough to wrap up the story. There's just so many unanswered questions.
If only you had I don't know, some sort of platform to talk about spooky things and right and how they need to be preserved. I don't know.
I know we might need to talk about Shining Vale at some point, but now I don't know how anyone would watch it.
Yeah, that's true. We will just describe it to everybody. We're going to describe from
Just walk
memory,
through the episodes.
from our memory of them, and then yeah, it's going to be just as good. Don't worry, it'll
Yeah.
be very entertaining.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Did you have any other honorable mentions?
No, I don't think so. Those were, and there's I mean, there's a few that I just haven't watched, like kind of, referencing video games, like I didn't watch The Last of Us. I haven't watched that yet, so admittedly so. And then, I've said on this podcast, I don't fuck with zombies, I don't care. So anything Walking Dead related, I don't care. So
Yeah.
I'm good. I think that's all I got right now.
Yeah, I think the only one that I had on my list that was specifically from this year is The Fall of the House of Usher. And then I do still want to watch What We Do in the Shadows, but I don't know if it was on this year, so it counts. It counts. Okay. Part 2. Favorite movies of 2023. So, slightly different rules for this one. Follow me, everyone. Here we go. We each picked 3 favorites. I did not put them in any specific order. I don't know if Kyle did. But we each picked 3 favorites, and then we picked a few backups because there's a chance that we'll overlap. So rather than like our last bonus episode where if we overlapped, we just kind of canceled them out, I wanted us to have an opportunity to talk about more movies. So if we overlap, then we can choose one of our backups, which I think we will. Same situation. We're sticking to no spoilers for our favorite movies because, again, if we love it, we want you to watch it. We want you to love it. So I will let you start, Kyle.
Okay, I am going to start with might be my favorite of the year. And that's going to be Totally Killer.
Oh, you put that in your favorite slot?
Yeah, I had I don't have her name in front of me, but she was in Mad Men. She was John Hamm's daughter, and then she was also in that the Sabrina the Teenage Witch show that was on Netflix. Like Kiernan
She has a
Shipka.
very unique name.
Yeah, and she really carries that movie. It's super fun. I love a good horror comedy. I also really love when I love slashers and when they take some sort of twist on it. And hey, you know what? It can be time travel because I've seen it in plenty of movies. We
love time travel.
It can be body swaps. It can be, a Groundhog Day situation. Oh, love a good body swap.
Yeah.
And I think this one was just really good. And I don't think it was too hitting like over your head too much with the 80s-ness of it, but
it was a perfect balance, I think. Really.
Yeah, I just thought it was super fun and just like really has some good, really good, just really good kind of like through line jokes and a really fun. I don't know. I just think with comedies and horror comedies, it's really hard to stick the landing. But fuck, I really think they do. That's my take. I'm gonna step out on that ledge. I think yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just love the whole vibe of it. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah. I hope it's getting the attention that it deserves because I feel like Amazon originals are really dicey. So I think a lot of things can get lost in the shuffle for Amazon, but I will say I also have Totally Killer in my top 3 for the year. I just watched it last week and only once. So a bold statement maybe, but like I definitely what am I saying? I will definitely rewatch it for sure. I just thought it was so much fun. I think every joke landed for me. Like I thought it was really great, and I loved everybody on the cast. I thought they were all really funny. I thought that they acted it out really well. Like I thought it was great.
Could always use more Lachlan Monroe, of course, but Hey, what can you do? He's a busy man.
I actually thought
But
he could
yeah,
have been in it more, a little
well,
bit, but
that's what I
maybe
said. I
not
can
more.
always use more
Oh, I
Lachlan
just thought you
Monroe.
meant in movies in general.
Both. Well, yeah, both. But yeah, I think you have, and then also, Julie Bowen, of course, who one of my early crushes from Happy Gilmore.
Oh
She's
shit.
always great.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah, I
think
was
probably most people know Modern Family now, but
yeah.
for me,
Yeah,
it'll
but
always be Happy Gilmore and star of Hubie Halloween, which is also a
oh
fucking super
shit.
kick-ass
Yes.
movie. We'll cover one day. I want to.
Yeah, we might need to talk about that one day. I feel like it has a lot of mixed response to it, but I do think it's fun.
Yeah.
Um okay, there you go. We already had one that aligned. Okay, so I'm going to pick an obvious one here that I think will be in your top. I'm going to go for Scream 6. Honestly, it feels like so long ago that we watched it that I kind of forgot it was this year.
Right. No kidding. Yeah, that was earlier in the year. It yeah, talk about it. What do you love about it?
I I love so many things about it. And I know there's a lot going on with the Scream franchise, and we can circle back to that at the end when we talk about next year. But I think Radio Silence did a really good job of capturing the essence of Scream while still keeping it fresh. I I love the Scream franchise. I go into it, how I normally talk about high expectations and high praise usually turn me off to a movie or make me hypercritical. When I go in to see a Scream movie, I literally just take all expectations away and just am there for the ride. And we saw this together. And it was our first Scream movie that we had seen in theaters together. So that was really exciting too.
Can you believe it? That's what happens when you keep putting 11-year gaps between movies like they did with 3 and 4
Yeah.
and 4 and 5.
Yeah. It's so good though. I really think it's fun. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. But I really enjoyed it. I think the kills are fun. I think it has a really good amount of like brutality in it. I think a lot of reviews said they thought it was like the most gory, and maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was great fun.
5 goes kind of hard in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um it's funny, it is not in my 3 here,
Wow, you're surprising me this evening.
which is funny because I do, after a few many beers before the movie, there was a point where I'm sure I turned to you and said, I think this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life.
You did.
It was when Courtney Cox, she's a part of it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
There's a situation. I mean, I do think also it's like, that I'd love to get to a point where we can stop referencing the like first movie.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, this one doesn't do it as much as say like the 5th one. I don't want to spoil that one much either, but I'm curious to see. Well, now I'm super curious to see where it goes now that
Yeah.
they're probably, I don't even know what they're doing.
I have no
Now
idea.
that I don't, that whole stupid fucking thing. We're pro Melissa Barrera fans here. We're definitely on her side here.
We are. We'll get to that. I'm gonna leave space for that at the end because Scream is gonna be a big part of 2024 for the podcast. But yeah, we're definitely pro Melissa Barrera, so know that. And also honestly, I wasn't like anti Melissa in the 5th one. I was just kind of like, she's fine. But in the 6th one, I think she was fucking amazing. I really enjoyed the character of Sam, and I think her performance, like she really leaned into it. I feel like she created a real personality, and just everything about Sam felt real to me and like actually felt good. Where to the point where I was like, who needs Jenna Ortega? Like she's like has all this hype around her, and I'm like, she's killing it. Melissa Barrera is killing it. So pun intended. So yeah, I really enjoyed Scream 6, and I'm sure my love for the franchise is probably like putting it above other movies that, could be in that spot, but that's what I'm picking.
That's great. Let's see. I'm going to counter with something that I'm not sure if you've seen, came out earlier this year, called There's Something Wrong with the Children.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one. I don't even have that on my list of things to watch. Should I?
I think it's fun. I like it. I certainly like an evil child situation when
Mm.
there's multiple evil children commuting evil situation.
Is it more serious or is it like a horror comedy?
It's serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
Starts.
nothing about it. I've been trying not to watch trailers after what happened to me this year.
Yeah. It's sorry. I think it's a lot of fun. I know reviews are kind of mixed. I think, the idea of what the movie wants to do, I think, is still really strong. And I think the performances are really good. It's just hard to, oh man, child actors, but I think these two are okay from what I remember. And it stars one of the dudes from who's in a few of those Mike Flanagan shows, Amanda Crew, who's in a few other things too. Yeah, it's pretty tense and gets pretty violent, and I think it's and again, I don't know, I just have a lot of fun with it, and I would definitely I definitely recommend it, I think, to most people. It's a good it doesn't get too weird.
Okay. My second on the list, maybe we'll overlap on this one. This was very unexpected. I'm gonna put Saw X as one of my favorites. And you know what? I've missed the last 5. I haven't watched the last like 5 movies.
It's an honorable mention for me. And yeah, no, I haven't seen a Saw since I barely remember parts of Saw 3. And I've seen the first 2 and then I haven't seen anything since. But then I went and saw this one.
I want to say I've watched up to 5. Didn't watch any of the ones in between, but I had heard that this took place it's taking place between the first Saw movie narratively and the second Saw movie. And because of that, I knew I remembered the first 2 enough that I could jump into this. I saw it by myself, which was an extra treat because I was very focused on it. And also I had a really good audience around me. It was a bunch of like young girls who clearly did not know what they were getting into, like gore level wise. Like, it had been a while since I've seen a Saw movie, and wow, if you like gore that actually makes you kind of like clench your fist or like squeal almost, it's intense, but it also kind of it tells you more about Jigsaw and like shows you more about him to the point where like you're kind of rooting for him in this film. Like I won't spoil much, but I didn't watch a trailer for this, so I knew nothing going into it. If you haven't watched a trailer, don't just watch it. It's like 2 hours long, isn't it? It's pretty long.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a long movie. I think it's awesome. I'm glad I saw it in the theater.
I agree. That one was probably, if I could say, like my unexpected surprise of the year, I think it would be that movie. It is, interestingly enough, and I think intentionally, the funniest Saw movie, because it has some parts where I'm like, I'm pretty sure they were intending for this to be a joke. So I'm laughing. It's funny, but and the thing too, and I brought up Jigsaw and Santa Claus very recently, and the whole weird moral, things of it, the Jeffrey Combs and Would You Rathers of the world, and what kind of drew me into Saw X was that I'm like, oh, okay, I would say compared to most people in these Saw movies, like I'd say these people deserve it, like whatever's coming to them.
Yeah, more so than a lot of the others.
Where it's like, oh, Jesus, those like those first few Saw movies. I mean, and then just the ones I've seen, I'm like,
yeah,
ooh, whoa, these are some actually like innocent people you are just killing and painting as like awful people. So get the fuck out of here, bro. But yeah, I thought it was fun. And then the gore, like, oh, Jesus, some of it's real rough. But so fair warning, everybody, on that. But outside of that, just I feel like you can even just watch the movie. You wouldn't even need to see the first or second. Though
I
I think it's
I don't think you would either.
just a fun standalone end of the year holiday classic. Just put it on. I think that this movie takes place right between the first and second one, but comes out 20
Mhm.
years afterwards. But
Yeah.
man, they do not even pretend or care
No,
that
there is
Tobin
no
Bell.
de-aging technology going on in this movie. And I kind of love that they're just like, who fucking cares?
Let's
Who
put Shawnee
cares?
Smith in the same haircut, the same makeup this last time,
Yep.
and no one's gonna care or notice. And honestly, I didn't. So it
Yeah. Okay, I know I said no spoilers, and this doesn't really spoil anything of the plot of the movie, but I have to say, one of the best things about this movie, we may have said this before, but I need to call it out again, is he's sitting in the park with like a sketchbook, like watching people, like this cute little old man on the bench, and he's sketching jigsaw traps. Like he's sketching like death traps in the park. Like birds are chirping, it's sunny and beautiful outside. And that right there, I think, is a perfect example of like them being much more self-aware with the comedy. Like it feels campy, like in
definitely.
certain places of the movie. Like I feel like they're doing a good job of delivering a little bit of camp. So I'm gonna give Saw X two thumbs up.
You're just gonna throw two severed thumbs on the table.
Yep.
Love
Yes.
it.
All right. What's your third?
Speaking of the gore quotient, I had a lot of fun with Evil Dead Rise, which we also saw
Oh,
together. Um,
that's one of my honorable mentions or backups.
it's my third favorite Evil Dead movie. Behind, two and one are kind of 1A, 1B. I think they're both really fun. Maybe it goes one, then
Mm.
two, then Rise, then Reboot, then Army of Darkness. I brought up my Army of Darkness hot take. And I now granted, again, I think that the slate of movies was not as strong, kind of looking back, because there's a lot of
Hmm.
unevenness with this movie.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end, but I do think the movie takes a lot of swings where Sam Raimi didn't.
Hmm.
I think it really goes off the rails, kind of gets you there quick. And
Yeah.
I just and I thought, again, just the kids, I thought they were great. And
Yeah, the acting's really good in it. Like, especially with like teenagers can be rough like that. Like they're like young teens, like young teen
mhm,
actors that I think are actually like playing, they are the age that they're playing. And I think they do a great job. Yeah, the gore in that movie is really fun. As if you've ever watched an Evil Dead movie, you know how those go. It goes pretty hard. I like that reboot better than this one though. I would put that one ahead of this one because I have that attachment to the cabin.
mm,
And I like Mia, the main character in that reboot.
yeah.
But
So
I agree. I think that it was really great. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, you definitely should. It's fun.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, now I have to pick a backup because you chose Totally Killer. So this is so tough. I have a really embarrassing one on my list, so I'll save that one as an honorable mention. I'm gonna throw Thanksgiving into the ring as a backup. But this is why I mentioned trailers earlier. Fuck trailers, especially for this movie. If you've seen the trailer, it really spoils a lot. So if you haven't seen this movie and you haven't watched the trailer, please don't.
Are we talking about the trailer for this movie recently, or the original trailer directed by Eli Roth that was in Grindhouse?
No, 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 not that. The movie trailer, the recent movie trailer.
It doesn't like spoil the
Um
killer, right?
no, not that, but like when you see a trailer and you're like, "Oh, if they're showing these things, those couldn't possibly be the best moments or worst kills." This movie suffers from, "Oh, you actually did show me the best moments and the most gruesome kills." And
Got it.
that fucking sucks. So when I watched this and I watched it with you, I did enjoy it and I thought it was really fun, but it was very sad seeing each character and knowing like how most of them were going to die. Like that really spoiled a lot for me. But that being said, I did really enjoy it. I think it's a fun slasher. I would love to see a sequel. And in the spirit of taglines, There Will Be No Leftovers is definitely one of my favorite taglines of the year. That might be my favorite tagline of the year. I think I'm just going to award it now.
I read somewhere that that's Patrick Dempsey's actual accent.
Yes, I heard that too. I was listening to the Horror Queers. Shout out to them. And their episode on Thanksgiving, and they said that. I had no idea. Can you imagine? He's had that accent, like, and is just always not using his normal speaking voice when he acts ever.
Do you think that detracts from the McDreaminess of it all?
You know, I never thought he was attractive until recently. I find him attractive as like the older he gets, but yeah, I when he was younger, whatever. Oh, I did think he was cute though in Enchanted.
I do love Enchanted. Never saw the sequel, but the first one's fun.
No, the first one's really fun. Totally different genre of movie. But yeah, I thought Thanksgiving was fun, and it feels like it had been a while since Eli Roth had put anything out there. Am I wrong?
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it's Eli Roth's best movie.
I don't think I agree with that.
Only because it's just harder to look past just a lot of the problematic broy douchey parts about him and all of his movies.
I know.
So it is, and then they get worse and worse. I would say the second best Eli Roth movie is Cabin Fever, and then just goes, probably in sequential order after that. It's because again, it's all the same shit where I feel like this is the first Eli Roth movie that wasn't about a group of American, liberal white people in a foreign place, whether it's the South or Eastern Europe or, South America, or I'm sorry, my apologies, wherever Green Inferno takes place.
I don't know where it actually takes place.
So this movie, I would say arguably, I'd say by that, it's the one I will certainly revisit the most.
Yeah, I would say this movie I definitely will rewatch. I know it's going to have a sequel. I'll watch it. Now I have a movie to watch, during Thanksgiving.
Got a lot of mileage out of Addams Family Values.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will say though, I think Cabin Fever, as outdated as that movie is, it has a lot of like, I think one day we should talk about it for like all the good and all the bad. But for how outdated that movie is, I do fucking love the body horror in that movie so much. That is my favorite Eli Roth movie. And it's so fucking annoying that he is the way he is, because I do think he has a really creative mind of like what's scary and what like is unique in horror, but he always finds a way to make it fucking problematic. Like he will find a way to take something that doesn't need to be problematic at all and just throw the N-word in there or the F word, or just Hostel is kind of a unique situation because I'm hoping that those guys are supposed to be shitty, but if you watch the behind the scenes of it, it's very clear that he actually is like one of those guys. And so I think he's probably the world's most annoying person, but I think he has a lot of creative genius, which is annoying to say because he really is just an annoying, he feels like an annoying person. Like I would never want to meet him or know him, if that makes sense. And I would bet a lot of people were on him about Thanksgiving and like what he could and couldn't do.
Eli Roth, if you ever want to hop on this podcast, and
we'll certainly
have you on.
We'll talk it out. I mean, he can't deny it. I think there's a lot of people on our side, and hey, I said he has a lot of creative genius.
So in Seattle, it used to be called the Experience Music Project, but now it's called the Mopop Museum, the Museum of Pop Culture, which is this weird, like gelatinous looking
Oh, we went
building.
there.
Yeah, and that horror exhibit in the basement. It's great.
Yes, it was so fun.
Very fitting. It's in the basement. That is that a lot of that was curated by Eli Roth, to my understanding, as well. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's certainly super knowledgeable in horror, right? But yeah, I don't know enough. So I think my good thing we landed where we did. My only honorable mention was Saw, because just what a bonkers fucking ride that was.
Interesting. I had two others. One is the Meg 2. I have to say,
didn't see it.
You don't need to see it. No one needs to see it. It is 2 hours long, and so is the first one. But I took my son to see it because he really wanted to watch it. And it's almost the same plot as the first movie. So if you've seen the first one, the second one is almost the same, except they seem more self-aware. Like, it's funny. And the end is just wild. It's not a great movie, but it is a fun watch. And if you like shark movies, it delivers on that very basic level. And Jason Statham, I recently have taken a liking to him. I know you're making the craziest face at me, but recently I'm like, okay, Jason.
Yeah, nothing to knock him.
If you could all see Kyle's face when I said that.
I love even the bad Fast and the Furious movies that he's in. I watched that spin-off with him and The Rock, and there's a movie called The Bank Job that I thought was pretty fun. And then, of course, yeah, I don't know, some of those early ones that he did.
He just seems very aware of what type of movie he's in. Like, it feels right. You know what I mean? Like, he's not half-assing it. Like, his performance is all in. So I'm going to give the Meg 2 a shout out. And then one that I watched that I really don't know where to place, so I'm going to put it in between our two categories. I don't know if you've watched it, but I would encourage people to watch it. I'm really curious to hear what other people think. I haven't read much. Is Suitable Flesh, which was starring Heather Graham, and Barbara Crampton is also in it. And it's on a very basic level, it's a very sexual possession type movie. And Heather Graham, though, is excellent in it. So even if you aren't a huge fan of the movie itself, she's really fun, and Barbara Crampton is really fun in it. And the guy, I forget his name. He was in the Babysitter movies. He's the kid that's being babysat. He's also really good. So if you haven't seen that, I'd say give it a watch. It was very like polarizing for me. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, because in some moments I was so into it, and then in other moments I wasn't really sure. So
just looking through the cast, it's got the dude who is the lead singer of The Wonders in That Thing You Do.
Oh my God. That's the other reason why everyone should watch this movie. If you have not seen him since That Thing You Do, which I had not, am I going to be thirsty again in this episode?
Is he doing good? He's doing real good.
Jesus fucking Christ. Him without a shirt on, he is fucking ripped, and he's got to be in his 50s. He looks gorgeous, and there are sex scenes that involve him. Yes. You know what? Watch it. Everyone should watch it just for that. I
think it's Jonathan Shake. I think it's how it's pronounced.
Yeah. He gets 5 boos. Just him.
Love it. So, okay, gosh. Well, I think, does that kind of lead us into, I don't know. You said it was in the middle, right?
Yeah, that's a nice transition there. Definitely on theme. Okay. Part 3. Least favorite movies of 2023. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that there's nothing good about these movies, but maybe it was disappointing. You thought it was going to be great and it wasn't. Maybe it actually was just straight up terrible, but we're going to do different rules for these. So same, we pick 3. I just held up 2 fingers. We pick 3 and we have backups and honorable mentions, but we can spoil these movies. So if we mention a movie and you're like, oh man, I was dying to see that, you can skip this whole part. You can skip ahead a couple minutes and see where you land. But if we're bringing up these movies, it probably means we don't care if you watch it or not. And there won't be, I would not do an episode on any of the movies that I put on my list.
Nah, me neither.
Whereas like the ones that we put in our favorites, like it's possible one day. So I didn't want to, spoil any of those. So I will let you start, Kyle.
Watched a lot of 2023 movies in the last couple weeks to prep for this.
Same.
And I was going off ones that had, I know, Rotten Tomato very, limited, of course. Yeah. But just going off like what are some good reviewed movies, things that just look pretty fun. And first one on my list is called Don't Look Away. Okay. And I paid for this one too, because it was not on a streaming service. And it is about a young woman who gets involved in an automobile accident. But the person who she ran over was the driver of a truck. And this truck was containing a box. Inside this box is a mannequin, a life-size mannequin.
That premise already sounds fantastic. So I'm really curious to hear how this goes.
So this mannequin, the lore of this mannequin is that if you see this mannequin, this is why he was boarded up. You do not want to see this mannequin, because if you do, and then you look away, or at least according to the rules, that will enable this mannequin to kill you in some brutal way, even though it really broke its own rules very constantly. People were looking away constantly during this movie, and it seemed to work out just fine. But gosh, don't get me wrong. Hey, look, I'm not here to use this platform to be like, oh man, this movie about a evil mannequin is trash, because I know what I'm getting myself into. I definitely get it. Yeah.
To clarify.
Yeah.
I look at the mannequin, okay, and I continue to stare at it. I look away for a second, and even if I look back, I'm still gonna die. Or is it like a situation where every time I look at it, it like freezes? Do you get what I mean?
Don't know. Yeah, that shit. Oh, kind of like one of the boos, like in Mario.
Yes, like is it that type of situation? So if I just keep eyes on it, I'm safe. Like even if I like look away for a second.
Yeah. But again, it really broke its own rules pretty consistently. So it was, and the acting is just it was real bad. We've seen some real bad situations, but
was it that it wasn't scary? Like, so you said you didn't like the acting, but was it not like the scares weren't effective? Like, what was it that you really didn't like about it?
It was just, I think the acting's got to be the worst
not good.
part. Well, yeah, it was just the acting is the worst part. I just think I felt like nobody. I just don't know, and I really want to preface this, and I really should have prefaced this before. But don't get me wrong, even the worst movie I've ever seen, I couldn't make a better movie than that. I know that
for sure.
I get it. Hey, so y'all have an artistic ability that I do not have in that regard. But
I think the other important thing is that like this is totally our opinions. So if like one of these movies that we choose, and I would bet I'm going to choose a few that people like, if we choose a movie that you really love, I would bet there's like 10 more that we love that you fucking hate. So this is all our opinions, and there are wonderful people in these movies that we're going to talk about, but I've never even heard about this movie. And the other rule I forgot to say, I can't believe I forgot this part. You do have to find a silver lining for each of your movies that you put on your least favorites. So what was good about Don't Look Away? Even if it was a moment.
They bring some dude in at the end that like he, who I think was trying to have it destroyed, this like old guy, but is like he's blind, but his pupils are like all white, and he's got this kind of crazy kind of attitude. And because he knows too, it's like, dude, the second you see it, even the first time, you're done, because how do you keep that up? So his whole thing they
How does
thought
it
he was
count for
coming
him? Because
over.
he's blind. So,
Exactly. So if they were under the impression that they were calling him over to help them, but really he was like, no, killing you is really the only way to stop this. But they figure out some way that does not follow any of the rules that it sets. And
of
look,
course.
I watch a lot of shitty movies, and I can suspend a lot of disbelief. It's just oh yeah, it was bad. And just a lot of the editing was also really hard. I mean, just things that were intended to be jump scares like we're just baffling and boring. So
Oh,
it's
no.
man, I feel like I'm talking too much about this movie.
No, it's
so
okay.
so please don't look away. Look away plenty. Don't even look at it to begin with. So there you go. That's I'm sure some sassy reviewer, some sassy critics said that
Probably
already.
already said that. Yeah, it is good though. Like that was good, not the movie. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I am going to pick one that came out fairly recently because it is a Christmas horror movie. And I know we have both seen this. And it really breaks my heart to say this because Justin Long is in this movie. And it might be the first Justin Long movie I've ever watched where I was like, I don't like this. I do like him and his performance always, but It's a Wonderful Knife. It was not wonderful. I had such high hopes for this movie because I want more Christmas horror. Like we've talked about this all month of how our list is so short, and maybe we just need to try watching more. Like I haven't watched Silent Night, Deadly Night in a long time, but a lot of people swear that that's a fun movie, so I'll give it another shot. But It's a Wonderful Knife really fell flat for me, mainly because there were great ideas. It's a fun premise. You had Justin Long, but you're in a situation where nothing is scary. There's no suspense. It feels very bland. Like there's nothing landed for me. And the plot did not make sense.
I was like trying to understand why. So like what act like so Joel McHale is the killer or the other killer, the
Yeah, there's
alternate reality
two.
killer,
Yeah.
but or at least man, yeah, he was really dull in that. That's a bummer. Even though we were talking about this before, I think you may have been better off switching those roles, Joel McHale and Justin
Yeah.
Long, and having Justin Long be just they can both play the smarmy fucking mayor slash business mogul greedy. Let's pave down the half the town and put in a Walmart kind of situation. But see, Justin Long can play the sympathetic dad better.
I agree.
Whereas like I don't think I can sympathize. I mean, I don't think I could sympathize with Joel McHale to the same extent that I can with Justin Long. It's just those eyes, Natalie. They just bring me in, and I just want to love them and trust them. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah. It's a bummer.
And I will say, like, I think the cute little romance that they've got going on is like it ends really adorably. Like you've got your lead character. I don't even remember her name. Like I remember so little about this movie, but she ends up finding a girl that she like falls in love with, and that's super fun. Like that was the only part of the movie that I was like, good for them. But like even that felt like the payoff for that didn't feel like earned at all because like everything about the emotional parts just felt rushed. So it was just a hard to follow plot and just not scary. Yeah, which is a big thing for me. Like, and not that slashers have to be super scary, but if you're not scary, funny, or like clever, it didn't check any boxes for me. So would not recommend
something
it.
about mind control and the Aurora Borealis and like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like
there's too many things.
It's so dumb. Whole thing's dumb. And then also just a boring looking killer design. I didn't
care for the angel costume. Like who's gonna wear a white costume when you're a slasher? the laundry bill alone just isn't economical. Like there's a reason why you usually wear black. Like
Or at
instead
least red and green, like Freddie, red and green brown pants, so it's,
the blood soaks into that nicely, like
yeah,
rather than white. So yeah, that's mine. What's
100%.
yours?
So you mentioned It's a Wonderful Knife, so I'm going to circle back to an honorable mention, and that's The Nun 2.
Oh,
I
was It's
thought
a Wonderful Knife was on your list too?
it was. That movie
Okay.
is rough. And so one of my honorable mentions, I'll replace it with, yes, The Nun 2. I
Mm.
did not like the first Nun, but there was like a scene in the graveyard, which is pretty fun, and a couple set
That
pieces
scene is fun. Yeah.
that are cute, even though just that whole Conjuring universe, I'm pretty over it a little bit, but
I agree.
definitely over it. But this movie was just not fun. And they're just like, oh yeah, remember all these characters that you love and remember? And I'm like,
No.
I don't, and I don't. Um and then I was like, oh, you have to remember what happened at the end of The Nun. And I was like, fuck, I don't know, because it's
They
it's a whole
really
plot.
shouldn't bank on that. They should
Because
just
it's
have
a
a
whole
whole
plot
new plot.
line that involves the guy that is a romantic interest, but not for the main girl, the main nun, but someone else. And it just like, yeah, carries on with that. And then there's this like really like, no, I think it was supposed to be scary, something with like a very like a gust of wind and a magazine rack in an alley that like looks like it would have been out of like maybe like an adult contemporary music video. I feel like all the magazine pages, I feel like I want to see like Bono's face kind of show up in there like singing. And I'm like, is this supposed to be scary? And then like, I don't know. It was so bad. But yeah, so I threw that as an honorable mention because, whatever, The Nun, who cares? But I
Well,
was pretty bored watching it.
I have two questions for you.
Okay.
And one of them is kind of funny because I do have this on my list to watch because I haven't seen it yet. And I have watched the first one. I did not like the first one either. But why did you watch the second one if you didn't like the first one?
Boredom, definitely. I just
Did
had
you see it
nothing
in
to
the
do.
theater?
Yeah.
That's even one step further. Like I was waiting for it to be streaming.
My wife was out of town. What do you want me to do? I got nothing going on. And then I had one of those, one of those like AMC, like premiere, whatever things. So I was like,
Okay.
well, I need to get my money's worth. So whatever. I'll just fucking go see The Nun. Who cares? Hey, look, don't judge me for just going out and watching it, just some dumb horror movie. Who the fuck do you think you
No
are?
judgment. No
What podcast
judgment.
are you the host of, by the way? Get the fuck out. So, and hey, it's still doing research, even if it's like just confirming, oh, this
No,
movie is not
absolutely. I'm
good.
still going to watch it. I'm still going to watch it. My other question for you is, do you find The Nun, I don't remember the name of Valak, is that right? Do you find that spirit or villain to be scary? Like from the Conjuring movies or any like The Nun, anything like that actual,
Um,
or is she from Insidious? I don't remember.
no. Especially now that she just looks like Art the Clown wearing a habit. You know what I
Yeah, a
mean?
little bit. Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing, same kind of look, same kind of makeup. So just
Yeah.
instead of a clown suit, just like wearing a habit. So no, not exactly. And then especially like, yeah, diminishing returns with any of those movies. So if I ever found the nun scary in the first one, I certainly found her less scary in the second one, especially with her, YouTube magazine situation. So I don't know.
The reason why I even watched the first one was because I find her very scary. But the more I see of that character, the less scary it becomes. But God, why am I forgetting what movie this was? It must be The Conjuring, where Lorraine has a painting of the nun on the wall There's a whole scene with that. That shit scares me so much. I like literally was like having nightmares about it. So that's why I watched the first Nun. It probably will be a while till I watch the second one, but yeah, I've heard a lot of people thought it was really boring.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
whatever. So what?
All right.
So see you next, right?
Yeah. Um, my next one, I think actually is the second highest grossing box office horror movie in history. If I'm getting my stats right, you can check on that.
Is
Um,
It Chapter One, number one, probably?
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you're talking about fucking whatever you call it.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah. I never played any of the games. Have you?
I've never played any of the games, but my son recently has taken an interest in it. Like he's 8, so they're very much like it's like a nice gateway horror type thing. So it's very much based around jump scares. There's many of these games, like over 10 of these games, and there's different styles of gameplay. So he really wants to play it. I've kind of kept him away from it because it kind of looks shitty, but there's a huge following for Five Nights at Freddy's and people showed up to go watch it. The reason why I was excited to watch it, two reasons. One was Matthew Lillard, of course.
Of course.
And this is a huge spoiler, but why the fuck are you gonna, one, put Matthew Lillard in a movie and barely have him in it? Barely even in it. But then two, he's your like big bad killer reveal. And he's still barely in it. Like you get all excited because you're like, yes, finally, more Matthew Lillard. And then he dies almost immediately.
You are, I'm sure you and then all the people who like Five Nights at Freddy's, you're the only one that's just like, get these fucking things out of the way. Give me more Matthew Lillard front and center. He's scarier than any of this shit.
So
And also, to be fair, it's hard with Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, we are children of, late 80s into the 90s. Like, we went to plenty of Chuck E. Cheese's. Like, that shit is
ugh.
real. That's not scary to us.
I thought it was scary at Chuck E. Cheese. Fuck those animatronics. They are terrifying. They would always have like one eye that blinked more than the other one, and you were like, something is fucking wrong with that duck or whatever the fuck it was. Like, what the second thing that I actually like about Five Nights at Freddy's is the design on the animatronics. They're practical and they're made by the Jim Henson, what do you call it? But like they have a
Creature
name.
Shop.
Creature Shop. Thank you. And they look so good. Like, I think they're really fun. The problem is the movie one is like an hour and 45 minutes long, maybe almost 2 hours long. Fuck that runtime for a movie like this. And then I shouldn't even say two because I'll keep saying numbers. It goes back and forth between trying to be scary and not being scary. Like, there's no real scares in it. And the plot line is extremely mature. So if you were trying to make it not scary for a young audience, then you shouldn't have a child murderer as your focus. Like, and maybe a child like predator, I'm not sure, but it feels very heavily implied. And so I don't know who the audience is for it. Like, I know that, it's past our age group for sure, or like we're past the age group for it. But yeah, I watched it twice because Phil wanted to watch it again, and I did not like it either time. I can't believe that it had the box office that it did. Shout out to Matthew Lillard and his success because they'll probably make another one. And even though he dies at the end, it's kind of like, did he? Did he?
Oh, it's like Stu Macher's situation.
Sure, we'll say that.
Do they drop a TV on his head?
No, but he does get electrocuted. Actually, yeah,
There you go.
he gets electrocuted. So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's was not a win for me. I would not recommend it, but you can watch it on Peacock for free if you have
There you
Peacock.
go.
All right, what's your next one?
Yeah, my last one, I'll keep it, I think we've had a pretty good um through line of things with that have a lot of people we like in them. Just watching it, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Um Renfield, the one with
Oh, that's one of my backups, my honorable mention.
you saw it too?
I did.
Yeah, I like it could have been, I don't even know if Funny or Die is still even a thing, but I feel like it was probably just born out of this like Funny or Die scene of like the support group. And then like that
Yeah.
was like the one idea. And they're like, oh, okay, how do we turn this into an hour and 45-minute movie? And it's like,
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage, of course, is fun in what he's doing, but gosh,
I
everything
th-
else.
I think Nicolas Cage is fucking amazing in this movie. He was my favorite part.
Oh, he's definitely the best part. It's just like, and I like that. Sorry, did I say Brandon Holt? Sorry, Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Holt.
Um,
Yeah.
I like him in a lot of stuff. I mean, fuck, um, Mad Max being a good one, and yeah, Jesus, it just like was pretty boring. It was not very funny. I
Yeah,
this is something.
the comedy does not work well.
This is really something about me, but hey, cool it on the ska jokes. Hey, sometimes ska's pretty cool. So you know what? Get fucked.
Oh God. Don't
making fun of
defend ska.
making fun of ska in 2023 is almost uncooler than ska itself.
That's
So like,
fair.
get
That's
the
actually
fuck
a fair
out.
argument. Yeah.
Get out with your lazy jokes. Nobody even remembers. If you ask kids nowadays what ska is, I don't think they would even be able to immediately tell you. So those jokes just fall
Yeah.
flat on people. So get the fuck out of here. And then also, I just this whole thing, oh, because all these movies were like, oh, yeah, oh, the police is corrupt, but I'm an honorable cop, and my
Yeah.
dad is an honorable cop, and I honor him, but don't worry, still trust the police. Don't worry, the good ones will show up to arrest them in the end. Don't worry. And you're just like, get the fuck out of here, come on, Aquafina. And maybe the only other person that kind of has fun with it is um Ben Schwartz, who is always great in everything he's
Oh
in.
yeah. He's always great. I do enjoy him.
He did his best to ham it up.
Yeah.
Is so he is a he is point B beneath Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I think Nicholas Holt did a good job for what he was given, but what I will say, I have a love-hate relationship with Aquafina. Sometimes I love her, other times she doesn't work for me. And this movie, their forced like romance that they were trying to do with the two of them, they had no chemistry whatsoever. Like
none.
it didn't need to be that. There didn't need to be any romantic connection there. It felt so forced. And yeah, I just conceptually, again, I thought that this was going to be a really fun movie. And there are pieces, like you said, I think it could have been a fun, like short skit or even like a short film, like an episode of something. But like it is, as a feature film, it's too much. So yeah, the silver lining's definitely Nicolas Cage.
Definitely. And yeah, I'm sure eventually on YouTube it'll have just some cut of just Nicolas Cage scenes from that movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't, I just something about like, I don't know. Does he, what's up with just like the fucking, maybe I just also don't like parkour. And I feel like it's
Oh yeah,
always,
there's a lot of parkour going on in that movie.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like, get out of here. What is
absolutely.
this? I did not like it. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay,
Luckily, only,
another thing that I did like though is that when he gets his own place, it's like super colorful and he starts wearing like bright pastel like sweaters and things like that just because he's been like in a dark like vampiric like aesthetic for so long. I did think that that was cute. Even though it was like very on the nose of like what might happen, but I I loved his little apartment. Like I would live in that apartment.
all right, what's your last not not a positive take on a movie.
Um, my last one is A Knock at the Cabin.
Didn't see it.
This is one of those things where like maybe I'm going against my own rules a little bit. I didn't dislike the movie. I actually thought it was a fine movie, but it keeps falling into a horror category, and it is not. I would not call it that at all. I would call it a thriller, even maybe a little suspense. For people who don't watch scary movies, yes, there are scary things going on. It's very, at first it feels like home invasion, and then it feels like an apocalypse type of movie. And there's something about the big threat of the end of the world that makes things less scary, almost like a smaller threat, like to one person or a group of people, feels more intense and like magnified to me than that like zoomed out the world's gonna end type of situation. Like that feels more action movie or like Marvel movie to me. And that being said, though, the performances in it are great. I think all the actors are great. It does have some interesting kills in it, but I know I'm doing a really bad job of bringing up actors. Y'all are gonna have to just deal with that. You know how to use the internet. I'm trying to think of the name of the one of the main characters. I really love him. But I would recommend it if you want to watch something that's a thriller. There is some like disturbing violence in it. So maybe that's what's putting it into the horror category. But because it feels so mislabeled, I went into it with a completely different mindset. And so watching it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought it would be. So
I don't remember bringing this up during the Better Watch Out episode, but do you know the Better Watch Out M. Night Shyamalan connection?
mm-mm.
Did you ever watch the movie The Visit? I forgot to bring this up during the Better Watch Out episode.
No,
Have you seen The
actually, I
Visit?
haven't seen that one. Mm-mm.
It's supposed to be kind of like return to form a little bit, and it's mixed results because it's also like a comedy, but like in the sense of like,
I thought Old was a fun one from him.
yeah, that was okay. Even yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. But
Yeah.
it's about two kids that go off to visit their grandparents, and
Mm-hmm.
grandparents are a little weird. Something's going on a little bit. But the two kids are played by the actors who play Ashley and Garrett in Better Watch Out.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they play siblings in that movie. So I forgot to make that connection, but there you go.
No, I
Good
didn't
because
even.
any time to shoehorn that in.
I love that. Jonathan Groff. That's the name of the actor that I was thinking of. He's him and his partner and their daughter are at the cabin, and his acting is really good. I really enjoyed his performance. What were your
Okay.
other honorable mentions?
I didn't have any. It was as far as like for bad movies,
Mm-hmm.
well, oh gosh, I don't know. I'd have to look through. I made a list of all the movies I watched, and
I
honestly,
mean, if you weren't prepared, then maybe you shouldn't have the opportunity to share.
I mean, I watched like VHS 85, which they all get pretty good reviews. And I didn't realize how many of those movies there were. I
There's
thought there was
so
only like
many.
three, but there's like six or
Yeah,
seven.
I've only seen
So
two
I watched that, and like they're always just fine. Those anthology horror movies, it's
because
always,
some are good and then others are shit. Like, so
yeah.
it's hard. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just and then Megan, kind of take what you will. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
had its moments where I was like, okay, this is kind of fun a little bit. I mean, she does push a child in front of a truck, and after like ripping his ear off, and so that's pretty fun. But
But
yeah,
that's
I
like
don't
the
know.
only fun I remember from that movie. That's also on my list of like backups is
Yeah.
Megan, because I love a killer doll movie and I had really high hopes. And I how like how techie she is. Like it was like a nice spin on that, but like it should have been rated R. Like, I would have liked to see more violence. Like, that kid in the forest ripping off the ear and throwing him in front of the truck is the most brutal, I think, that it gets, if I remember correctly. I think she also kills a dog.
Never like dog killings as much as we keep nominating movies with them. But, yeah.
And then the other thing too is that, like, the character that adopts the little girl after her parents die, like, I get that she's a single woman and, like, doesn't want children and doesn't understand children, but no one would leave a grieving child to be raised by a fucking doll. Like, I don't care what the situation is. Like, she'd be required to, like, take her to therapy or go to family therapy with her or something. And, like, that just wouldn't be it. Like, the therapist was literally like, that's a fucking horrible idea. Like, it's so rare that a therapist in a horror movie, like, gives good advice. And that therapist was like, oh no. So I think if it would have been rated R and we got more gore and more roughness from Megan, I think it would have been fun, but, like, or more fun. But I do think it was fine. It just didn't go hard enough for me.
Yeah, I hear you.
And then my only other one that I had, and this might be kind of a controversial one, but it's only because, again, misgenrering of things, is The Blackening. I watched that hoping that it was actually going to be a horror movie, and it is a full-on comedy.
Definitely straight comedy.
Like, there's no body count. Yeah, there's no body count whatsoever. That being said, I think it's a great movie, but it is not scary. And there are very few deaths. I think maybe only 2 deaths outside of the killers. But it is a very fun movie, and I think it's really funny. And the cast is really good. Like, everyone is so funny. I want to make sure that I give my favorite character a shout out, because I really I watched it on the airplane. I think I was flying, and I was really hoping that it would have been a little bit more scary. Dwayne Perkins, his character in the movie is Dwayne. He's fucking hilarious, and I love him, and, like, he carries that movie for me. But yeah, I was disappointed that it wasn't actually scary, and it has a game in it. So it was like, it had high hopes, and there's such a large cast, and, like, no one dies. And I think that's part of the joke, is that they made smart decisions and they all survived. I get it. But I went into it thinking it was going to be like a straight up horror movie, and it wasn't, or just like a horror comedy of sorts, but it is 100% comedy in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. What movies did you not watch this year that you would like to? You can just rapid fire them.
Yeah, I'm gonna rapid fire. Malum, which is a remake of the movie Last Shift that came out, gosh, I want to say like 9 years ago, something like that. It was one of the first movies, if not the first, that we watched doing our kind of online movie night, kind of 3, 2, 1 ghost, let's go kind of situation. The original is really fun.
It was an unexpected surprise, that movie.
Yeah, I thought it was good. And then this one, my understanding is that it's, it's definitely more of the same. You're not reinventing anything or adding new.
Is it not a shot for shot like type of remake?
Yeah, I don't think so. But I mean, but it's close. It's just a glossier kind of remake. So with little extra effects with the blood. So I want to see that.
That's on my list too.
And the other one is Perpetrator, which among other people, I mean, like, one has one of the stars of Alan Wake 2, which I brought up, who's in this, and so I don't know what capacity she's in it, but that name popped up. Also Alicia Silverstone, but it's a vampire movie. From what at least from judging from the poster. But that one looks really fun, and then the reviews have been really good, and you know how I kind of, I did say how much I like What We Do in the Shadows, but often vampires, I'm a little,
But you mentioned 2 vampire things that you love in this episode alone.
What was the other one?
The other one was Midnight Mass.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay, there you go. So I thought you were talking about Renfield. I was like, that was in my bad movies section.
No.
So, but yeah. Honestly, it's just those two, and then I do want to watch Suitable Flesh.
Yeah, I'm so curious to hear what you think about it. So I definitely think you should give that a watch. My list is really long. I did not watch enough like movies that are new this year. I went back and watched a lot of things that I've already seen, which is something that we tend to do. So on my list, I'm going to rapid fire them. I have Cobweb, Skinamarink, Infinity Pool, Insidious: The Red Door, The Nun 2-ish, Hell House, LLC Carmichael Manor, has a long ass title. VHS 1985, but maybe now that's kind of moving off the list since you said it wasn't that great. And I added in during this episode, There's Something Wrong with the Children.
There you go.
Yeah. That's all of them. Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit about ourselves.
Oh, geez. Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about ourselves and our podcast. So I would like to know what your favorite episode that we've done so far is. We've been doing this now for what, five and a half months, maybe?
Yeah, this is like our 20 something episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think too much about it. I just went with my initial instinct, and it's our Hereditary episode. And that is my favorite just because, and you know what? I apologize, but just flag for a better term, you get a little unhinged, and you really go after that poor fucking woman. And I listening to it back again, and like during the editing, and then when I was listening to the finished episode, just in awe of just you just fucking railing on this poor fucking woman. And it is so entertaining to me. And I loved everything that we said about it, and I thought it was fun, and I'd gotten some good feedback about that one. But I
have two, actually, like very unique takes that I haven't heard before.
But I just really love Hereditary because I just really love you in that episode. You are it is very entertaining.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing about that is that my favorite episode is Midsommar, because I think that's the first time that I really show my lack of empathy and go on the unhinged route too.
I'm such an idiot. I meant Midsommar. Sorry, my gut. I don't know why I wrote Hereditary. Whatever. Ari Aster movies. I'm sorry. The gut one that came to me is Midsommar. You are unhinged. This poor woman, her whole is just fucking dead from the beginning, and she is just so alone and is just so much pain, and you just will not stop during it. It's so good. I love it.
I'm so glad that was what you were thinking, because I think that's my favorite. I think I just really show my true self in that. But the funny thing is the reason why I like that episode is your reaction to me talking about Dani, because I think like 3 or 4 times you're like, her parents are dead. Her whole family is dead, Natalie. And I'm just like, I do not give one fuck.
I know. It's so good.
It's fun. I enjoy that episode. If you all haven't listened to that episode, definitely watch Midsommar first, but you should listen to it. I agree. I think that was my favorite.
Love it.
And probably the movie that I changed my mind about the most in the past year, which I think is fun. Out of your films that you've watched, who is your favorite final girl of 2023?
I am going to throw out some honorable mentions.
Okay.
One is going to be, and I don't have her name in front of me, but from Evil Dead Rise. I liked her, and then also she's a guitar tech. I liked that. It's you don't find that job, that vocation very often.
Yeah, they really make it a point to like make sure that's her job too. It's interesting.
Yeah. So it's but and then also, just got to throw some love to Melissa Barrera, definitely. So definitely if it were not for the girl from Totally Killer.
I figured that would be your top.
Yeah, she was super fun. Again, I don't know. I love the humor. I love the attitude. I love, I don't think I need to say anything. And then of course I don't want to spoil anything. So I just think she's a lot of fun. And I think she carries that movie. I tried watching that Sabrina show and just really wasn't feeling it, and
I didn't even try.
Yeah. But watching this, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad that, like, I don't know, she's in some genre
she's
stuff
really
because she's cool.
Yeah.
So she's mine. How about you?
My favorite actually is Melissa Barrera and Sam Carpenter, especially in Scream 6. I think what I like about Sam, because now we've seen it, in 2 movies, and I'll try not to spoil. I think that I like that she's a little bit like, she's got like a little bit of evilness in her, like most final girls kill out of self-defense and out of need to have to. I think she enjoys it. Like you can see it in her face. She goes for it. Like you don't need to know who she's killing, but like it is very different than any other final girl. And I think Melissa Barrera does such a good job on her physical acting, like in that role, and it pays off so well. Like, so I'm gonna pick Sam Carpenter. Yeah, she's a fun final girl.
And honestly, the way Scream 6 ends, it does bookend it a little bit. So I don't know if I'm necessarily like, it would have been nice to see that kind of wrap up in a trilogy, or but also at the same time, it could have been worse. Could have been like Shining Vale, right? Where you're just like, wait, what the fuck, So
yes, but if that is going to be the last movie that we get with those characters, I needed more bodies, like for sure. Too many people making it out. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then one last thing that we talked about before, but I don't think I prefaced or like prepared you with, but I feel like we're very much aligned on this. In our last 20 some episodes, we've talked a lot about industry legends. We've named quite a few. And I think today we need to pick our top industry legend of 2023. Now, this is a short year for us. We're going to keep doing this. Spoiler alert, everyone. So next year we'll have a full year of industry legends. And I think we shouldn't ever be able to award it to the same person twice if they do pop up again. So,
okay.
Kyle, who would you choose as your top industry legend? Platinum industry legend.
I think we're gonna have the same one. And honestly, the award was decided episode 1. Who are we kidding?
It was
the immaculate, the artisan, the champion, really. Fucking Tony fucking Todd, right?
Yes.
Let's be real. So
it's him.
The 2023 awardee of our just legendary Boo Award. So we just want to shout out Tony Todd. We have covered 2 movies that he's been in. One being our so far only platinum Boo winner with Candyman.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, and just being able just to show up in everything. Fuck. He just whenever he just pops up, it is such a delight. There are a few people where it just doesn't matter, man. If he just pops up, I'm like, he showed up in a fucking random ass. Oh yeah, he showed up in a random ass episode of Riverdale, and I was like, I was gonna stop watching this show, but fuck, this dude pops
like,
up.
What if he shows up again?
Yeah, what if he just randomly shows up again? And that's why I have to watch everything now, because you never know when Tony
Todd might grace the screen. I absolutely agree. Himself. He's the type of actor or presence in a movie that, like I said, like 1 minute on screen and that movie just improved. Like it doesn't matter what movie, like the excitement that I have now for that film or piece of media has gone up so much. And also just seeing him, you know, on social media or with fans or whatever it may be, like he seems like just such a kind person, and like he really appreciates his fans, because I mean, it's got to be hard like having, you know, one role that you're like super duper known for, but he's been in so many things. He yeah, he's great. He's so great. So haunting, so wonderful, and yeah, just always puts a smile on my face.
But pretty sexy too, right?
Very
So
sexy.
it's
Yes, Tony Todd.
it makes it hard. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't think that there was going to be no argument from either side there. We knew immediately.
Yeah. No, that I just, you know, we had to make sure everyone else knew. Um, anything else that you want to share to wrap up 2023 before I share a little bit about next year?
Well, no, not really. Gosh, I think we've talked quite a bit. So I'm
It's
going
been a
to
while.
let's
Yeah.
press forward. I say you go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, like I shared earlier, we're, you know, about 5 months into this. We're going to continue into 2024. It's been super duper fun. Everyone who's been listening, whether you've listened to one episode, multiple episodes, half an episode, I appreciate you even considering listening to us. And would encourage you to share with friends. And if you really, you know, if you're really enjoying it, keep listening. Give us a 5-star review if you're in the mood for that, you know, wouldn't say no. Follow, subscribe, all those things. Because yeah, we want to keep going and keep growing. Did you like that? I did a rhyme.
I like it. Yeah. Especially on social media, if there is any opportunity to hit like a little heart, do it.
Do
Just
it.
do it. Go
Yes.
for it.
We
Every
need it.
single thing. I love it.
Everything counts.
And yeah, just definitely we really made something out of nothing. I think we are making our way from the bottom to the top, from the from the from the foot to the cliff, from fucking Banquet to Beechers. We're doing it. I
From
am
Banquet to Beechers.
we yeah, I just really look forward to looking ahead to the next year.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to have such a wonderful host and partner in this. So I want to thank you as well.
Aw, thanks, Kyle. Yeah, it's great. We've been watching movies together for a really long time. I hope that shows in how we talk about them, because before we used to watch the movies together and talk through them while watching them. So now we can actually listen to the movies in silence and then, you know, talk about them after. So yeah, for January, we're going to start digging into the Scream franchise, which is very exciting. Haven't really talked a lot about it yet and haven't really like posted much about it yet, but I assure you we will now. And we're going to start, of course, with Scream, and we're going to do I should say Scream 1996, because I know Scream 5 technically is also called Scream 2022, which is actually kind of annoying, but it's okay.
Frustrating.
We should never do that. So yeah, we're going to start with Scream 1996. So if you've never seen the Scream movies, watch them with us. We're going to space them out month to month so that you don't have to watch them day after day, week after week. And we're going to go through the whole franchise, which is something new for us. So, and I think hopefully the beginning of like more franchises that we want to dig into. And we have a really fun schedule for January. I think the beginning of the year can be stressful and heavy, and everybody puts expectations on themselves. Don't do that. Just watch more scary movies. A lot of horror comedy in January, maybe exclusively.
You know us. I think we've got a very eclectic group in January, and so really looking forward to just going forward. Really excited about it. Yeah, definitely doing a consistent kind of through line between now and, let me do my math, at least through June with the 6 Scream movies.
Yeah.
And then gosh, really hoping maybe to hear some feedback, and I don't know, maybe you all tell us fucking which one we do next. I don't know. We've been saving some of the heavy hitters, granted we took some detours. I don't know why we did H2O so early. I don't know. It just felt right.
That was my choice.
No regrets.
And you know what? The people love Halloween movies, and that one just, it felt right. And 1998 was such a good year for movies.
It was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it really was. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we have coming up. Kyle, anything else that you want to say or share with the group?
Gosh, yeah, looking forward to 2024. Did you know that, for all you that are going to be missing your Melissa Barrera fix, she is in 2 different horror movies in next year. Yeah, so one with Radio Silence, which is more of like a Universal Monsters situation, and then one that looks more like a Beauty and the Beast kind of situation. But well, I'll watch it. We'll see what goes on. No, that's all I got. I just really thank everybody that's joined us on this odd, strange journey, and I'm just really looking forward to, I don't know, just keeping it going.
Yeah, you know what we didn't talk about? You know what we didn't talk about was movies that we're looking forward to in 2024.
We'll get there.
I think we can talk about that at the beginning of the year, but we'll see if Scream 7 is one of them. That'll be.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, only time will tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we'll wrap it up. We did great. What a great wrap up of the year. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks everyone who's listening.
Thanks, Natalie. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year. 3, 2, 1, ghost. Thanks for listening to our end of year review. Speaking of reviews, we would greatly appreciate if you could leave us a killer review on whichever platform you choose to listen on. You can find us on Instagram at 321GhostPod and give us a follow to keep tabs on what we're up to. If you'd like to reach out and recommend a movie to hear us chat about, or anything else really, shoot us an email at 321ghostpod@gmail.com. Next week, we're ringing in the new year with Scream. Get it? Ringing? Because cellular telephones? Anyway, thank you again for listening. We're so grateful for anyone who takes the time to listen to our podcast and interact with us. See you next year. 3, 2, 1, ghost.